Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I just want Nan and Billy. I just want to ask you guys a personal question.
Okay.
Just one. Come on. Do you believe miracle?
Yes, I do.
I do too.
Oh, that's great. It's a Christmas time anyway. And yeah, wait. I do believe that miracles do happen, and doesn't matter where. Even in my the labor camp for 10 years, and I witnessed one miracle happen, and Christmas miracle. So I wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
Good time for it.
Yeah, and before I leave Shanghai to the Yunnan province, and my neighbor, he is a surgeon, and somehow he was very lucky. He come from a good family. His father is a farmer, so during the Cultural Revolution, he became a head of that hospital. But he's a good guy, good doctor. So he lead a team and to Yunnan province and to give them some medicine and training the doctors over there. So about 4 months before I leave, and he just come back from there. So he told my mother, he said, over there it's a very, very primitive, also there's all kind of diseases like major, like malaria and the leprosy. So my mother was so scared. They said, wow, what's happened? So he said, well, I heard that your daughter is going to go there. He said, maybe I just let her and to enter our training program. Mostly it's like a first aid kind of thing for 3 months. So my mother said, oh, that's good. I still have a time, right? So that's why I entered their training program for 3 months. So after arriving in the labor camp, so I volunteered myself. I said, I got some training and first aid training. Maybe I can help the village and they have a little clinics and lack of medicine, and they don't know what to do anything. And so I said, maybe I can help. And at that time, they called the doctor, just the medical personnel, they called the Barefoot Doctor. Why is Barefoot Doctor? Means you still had to work barefoot, working in the rice field. And meanwhile, if they need you, farmers, they call Barefoot Doctor. So I want to volunteer myself to be a barefoot doctor. And they say, okay, we'll think about it. But up to this Communist Party officer to decide it. So they look at my background, and they say, no, you cannot be, because you cannot be trusted. Because your father is an enemy of the state, and you come out of bad background, so you had to reform first. You had to do the harsh labor. We cannot let you to.
So they think you have to be re-educated first.
Yeah, re-educate first, and then if I reform good, so I will become a barefoot doctor. So after 3 years, I think I worked very hard to feel, and somehow then one time they have the malaria all over the place. It's like a pandemic. So they really need people working in the clinic. So they accept me at that time. So that's good. And so I become a barefoot doctor. And that the communities, they have about 18 villages and different nationality. There's they call the minorities. In China, the big country, they have about 56 nationality, we would say minorities. And so over there is a major, the three. One is Thai, one is Lafu, another one is Wa. And so in the clinic, we have 4 people work together. And me and then another guy, and also from our village and from Shanghai. And his mother is a doctor, so he learned something about injection or something. So and they hire him too. And then another real doctor from county. And she's actually the the nationality they call Wa, and they live in the mountain. And the reason they sent her down because her husband was accused as anti-revolutionary, and so she been punished. Sent her to the village. And another guy, now that's what I'm talking about, is from also the Wa village. And so Wa people, they look like Cambodia people, but they say eventually I found out they original from Cambodia, and they all have a dark skin, and then flat nose, and also very heavy lips. But this guy from this Wa village, he doesn't look like that. He has very fair skin, very straight nose, and thin lips. To me, he look like a European, but also he knows some medicine like a penicillin or something. In English, he said penicillin or something. So I was always wondering about it, where this guy is from. And so I talked about the miracle one day, and this woman doctor and the guy from my village, my schoolmate, they went to the counting to get some medicine supply. They had to hitchhike and then walking and get those medicine back. So only left this guy. Also, he has very strange name and called Albert. Sounds like Albert because in the Wa village, nobody have such a name. And to me, it's like an English name, Albert or something. And so only left Albert and me and working the clinic. So we don't have much medicine and very limited supply, and we use herb medicine. So we had to looking for the roots. And he know lots of herbs, so they call him a medicine man, so I had learned a lot from him. So he said, well, let's go to find some medicine. We need something and to treat the malaria. So we prepared to go to the mountain because looking for those roots had to go to deep in the mountain. There's no road. And he always, to find the road and make a road, actually make a path for me, because he is grow up there. Is I always say that he always told me, he said that we all barefoot. He said that my foot was like a monkey's foot. You don't slip or anything. He said that you have a lot to learn. Yes, I had to, and but he always very care about me and don't want me fall and to make the road and let me coming down and up or whatever. And somehow that day he also carry the homemade those rifle, and he asked me for those used toothpaste and for the bullet. So I always collected from other people, and because we are the only one from Shanghai and from city and use toothpaste, and they don't even see the things. But the toothpaste after use, they can use this as a shell as the bullet. So I always collected for him. So he's very happy about that. And so he always carried that. He said, well, we had to, otherwise the mountain lion or whatever, he said, so I can shoot and protect ourselves. And then we're walking and go to the deep the mountain, and you had to hold the tree and then coming down, and somehow, and he was trying to look at me coming down or not, and so he slept. And then somehow hit his hip and the gun. And then all the blood all over the place. And so I don't know what to do. So I said, I cannot carry him down because probably about 2 miles and have a road down there. and they have some track or whatever. So I said I had to come down to maybe to hitchhike a truck and take you to the hospital or clinic or the army base over there. Maybe they have some kind of medical help. And so I went down there and tried to get a truck or hitchhiker, but no car, nothing happened. So I don't know what to do. So at that time, I'm talking about that. I'm not a very religious person, but I'm a spiritual, very spiritual. I don't need anybody interpret between me and the God. But I always believe God always lives in my heart. So at that time, I don't know what to do. The only thing I can do is pray. So I just bend on my knees, pray. And he also coming down. And because he think I cannot carry him, they cannot get him. So he just struggling and just tied it up his wound and then coming down. And then he saw me pray. And they said, oh, you believe in God? I said, yes. And he said, yeah, let's pray. So he also went, I said, I'm a Christian. So I was shocked. I never know in that such a primitive place, and that they was before was missionary was there before. So, and then but at that time I cannot ask him anything. So we just pray, and then for a while, I put in my ear in the roll and listen, and I know the truck is coming, and about 5 minutes later. A military truck coming, and they pick us up. So, and then after that, he told me about the story about the missionary, and then his personal story. So that will be next week. I will continue.
A Christmas miracle. You got picked up when you needed a ride the most.
That was it.
That's a great story.
Yeah, wow. Actually, what a surprise.
Yeah.
In China, in the labor camp on the Chairman Mao, you have two Christians. Yeah. They didn't even know before they realized each other. They both Christians.
Wow.
So remember that miracles do happen.
Yes, they do. Amy, what a great story! I look forward to the second half next time.
Okay.
All right. So there's a lot in the news today. We have the story I guess what's becoming the real reason for being in the United States to gather political intelligence and influence people in China-related issues. Apparently, we have a particular council member in Fremont City that we're going to talk about in a little while. We're also going to talk about California. Wow, this is just a wild story all the way around. A Chinese spy targeting California politicians with, what's the nice way to put this? With favors. Let me just say that.
A sexual favor.
Okay, you said it. I did.
All right. Okay. Now, but anyway, before we reach to those stories, we're going to first try to reach our guest, Jennifer Zeng, and who is the reporter from the Epoch Times.
Senior reporter from the Epoch Times. She has quite a story. We just heard quite a story from Amy. She apparently has been writing about some very interesting stuff from China.
Yes, she herself was a writer. She wrote a personal story how she was detained and jailed in China in the late 90s and early 2000, and she was a Falun Gong practitioner. Falun Gong, it's an ancient meditation exercise which was banned in China, and all the people who practicing those exercises would have been persecuted by the government. Now she came out of China and she became a reporter working for the Epoch Times, And recently, just in the last couple of weeks, he reported an explosive story here in the United States. Many part of the story has been discussed by Americans right now. So we're going to have her coming to join us very soon. So
we're making the phone call now. How many reporters work for the Epoch Times?
I actually don't have an idea.
It's quite a few.
Yeah, keep in mind they have operations in many countries. So I actually don't know. I work for the California office, and
okay, I believe we have her, Jennifer, on the line. Jennifer, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, terrific. All right, so.
Oh, hi. Welcome, Jennifer. It's our great pleasure to have you with us in this program. Well, we just start talking about the story that you put on it started by you putting the story on your social media platform. I'm not sure. Did you put it on the Twitter or did you put on?
What story?
The story that you translated from the video clips which was originally made in Chinese, then you translated into English.
Yes, I put it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and I have several other social media accounts.
Great. Would you tell us what's the content of the story?
It's basically a speech made by a very high-level, I think, think tanker people in China. He's a vice dean of International Relations Center of Renmin University, which is a university especially for the elite CCP officials or for training the Chinese Communist Party officials. So it's a public speech he made on November 28th in a forum, I think, in Shanghai, where there could be over 1,000 live audience, and that event was broadcast live on the internet. So basically, in his speech, he was trying to explain why China is opening up its financial sector, which they promised to do 20 years ago when they joined WTO, but they didn't, and why they feel it's necessary to open up its financial sector now, because since he believes Biden is elected, we need to show some goodwill. And then he went on to explain that from 1992 to 2016, in those years, whenever there's anything between China and the U.S., China can fix it within no time, because at that time they had their own people at the top, and the core inner circle of politics and power, that his own original words. So they could fix everything while Wall Street. But since Trump was elected, the Wall Street couldn't fix Trump, so they felt that was somewhat a setback for CCP. So he made a lot of, I think, very shocking statements or allegations, and tell some little stories about how he believes there's nothing can't be fixed in the U.S. If I can't fix it with one stack of dollars, I fix it with two. And then he went on to tell a real story in 2015, when before Xi Jinping's visit to U.S., they would have a book launch for Xi Jinping, and because that venue was already booked by somebody else, so how they used Wall Street elite to fix that book owner and to force him to give the venue to Xi Jinping. So this is all real. So I felt it is very important for all Americans to know the content of his speech. So that's why I took the trouble to find the videos, which have already been deleted all over China, and all you can find piece and not the entire one. So I compared two different versions I got, and I tried to put it back what was deleted, and then I translated the whole thing and put it on the internet. But very unfortunately, this morning I was told that YouTube had removed that video.
Wow. This morning you were told?
This morning?
Yes, this morning. Because yesterday, YouTube published some kind of policy.
Yeah.
They are now start to deleting content that they believe is this or that. And then this morning, this video, which actually didn't have anything to do with this election directly. He only, I think, indicate why China prefers Biden to Trump. But I don't think there's anything like an election fraud or this or that, but it was deleted.
They are really worse than the CCP and to ban the WeChat. Can you believe it?
Yes. So I feel like I've been put back in China again, where people's accounts got deleted once for a while, and everything is censored on the internet. So in the U.S., I'm feeling very much pressured. That's why the first tweet I put on today is just two words: darkest hour, in Chinese and English. That's how I felt this morning when I found that video was deleted.
Jennifer, let's go back to the video clip that you translated. At the end of that video clip, the deputy of Institute of International Relationship of Renmin University, which is one of the top 5 universities in China, when he spoke to the audience, he did mention something that Chinese Communist regime helped Biden's family set up international investment bank, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That was when he finished his little story of how a Wall Street elite helped them to fix that bookstore owner. Actually, it's the Politics and Pause bookstore. He also even gave the address of that bookstore in Washington. It was a very famous one. So after that story, he said, now we are seeing Biden was elected. And then he said, Biden's son has been said by Trump that he got some global foundations. And then he said, who helped him to set up those global foundations? At this stage, everybody in the audience clapped and laughed, and they understood his hidden message. He didn't say we help him to set up these foundations, but the audience obviously know very much. So he went on to say there are a lot of deals in it. You get it? And then everybody laughed and clapped again.
Wow.
That's how I felt so shocked. In China, it seems everybody, thousands of them in the audience, understood who he was talking to, what he indicated in his hidden message. Although he didn't say the CCP or China helped Biden's son to get, to set up those global foundations, but everybody started laughing and they feel so confident now because we helped him do this, and now Biden is elected, so America is under our prey again.
Jennifer, let me ask you a question, Jennifer. When the speech was being broadcast and then later you translated it, was there any repercussions to the speaker who was sort of giving away China's secrets?
Yes, I got somebody sent a tweet saying the CCP is at a loss regarding what to do with this guy. If you don't punish him, he betrayed the CCP's top secret. If you punish him, the world would know that what he said is even truer, But his video did get deleted from all platforms in China, and even I was quick enough to do a screenshot of his bio. He has his page on the Renmin University. Every staff, especially important staff members, have their bio page. So on that bio page, there was a paragraph highlighted in red saying that in 2015, before Xi Jinping's visit to America, he was appointed by the Propaganda Department of China and Information Office of the State Council to promote Xi Jinping's book and to do a public awareness campaign or publicity campaign on behalf of Xi Jinping. He put it there initially to show that how important a figure he was, and that is his highlighted achievement as a political or the professor or in his career. But now they've got that paragraph deleted.
Oh, Jennifer.
In a few days.
Jennifer, can you tell us a little more about this professor's background? He ever studied in United States? Or visit?
I believe. Let me check. He got several, I think, books published. I think he had given lectures in Washington. That's according to what I can remember. Now let me open up my page to see his bio. What he said. He gave I think a lot of speech in Washington University or some kind of universities in Washington, and there are also some other U.S. cities. I think he did mention in his speech that the reason why they asked him to negotiate with the bookshop owner to get the value for Xi Jinping, because that's his own original words in Chinese is "hu you," because he's good at fooling Americans or fooling foreigners. So he said in his speech that he said the leaders see me good at fooling foreigners, and at this stage everybody laughed, so they think I'm good at that. That's why they sent me to talk with that book owner, but I couldn't fix him. So later on, so I turned this matter back to my leader, and then on that day when the book launch was going to happen, my leader called me, say we are going to do this event according to our original plan, same place, same value, and then his leader told him a lady with a big nose help them to fix that matter. So he did it, yeah.
So what is his position with the CCP leadership?
He is the vice dean of the international relations of Renmin University. Renmin University is known to train the CCP officials, and the other organization is one of the most important think tank for the CCP. So you can regard him as one of the chief, policy researchers and consultant and a scholar regarding foreign policy and foreign relationship. So he's a vice director and the secretary of the Center for Foreign Strategic Studies of China. So these are all important high-level or top-level think tank in China.
Oh, so he's basically the CCP's policy maker and toward the international relationship.
Yes, and international or foreign affairs strategies, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I heard the one his report in Chinese speech about he's expert on everything. He said that nobody know anything about the relationship between U.S. and China. He's the only one know everything. He's a real insider, something like that. The one speech from in Chinese and from the internet. Somebody sent it to me before. This guy. Yes. Yeah, now I found his bio at the Renmin University website. So he got his bachelor in Renmin University in 1998
1958, and then got his master degree also in the same university, and then doctor degree, and then he was a visiting scholar in France, and then in England, and then in Belgium, and then he was, I think, in Georgetown University, a visiting scholar in Georgetown in the university, and Boston University in 2015, and then he also was invited to the Wall Street, Chicago University, Chicago Stevenson Center, those kind of institutions to teach the Chinese reform and Chinese economy. And then he boasted about his experience about, promoting Xi Jinping's book.
So he has extensive academic credentials worldwide, actually. Some of the places you've said, including Georgetown University in Washington, is fairly well noted. I have to ask you this, Jennifer, as a senior reporter at the Epoch Times, putting together this kind of investigative work, were there any repercussions for you? Have you had any bad comments?
Oh, a lot. I think I've been suppressing by the CCP for all these years. They destroyed my mother's passport back in 2018 at the customer while he was on her way to the U.S. to visit me, and they monitored her, they harassed her once for a while and gave her pressure to in an attempt to try to force me to shut up. And when my father was very sick and dying, I wasn't allowed to go back to China. Since I left China in 2001, I was never ever able to go back to China to visit my family. I was denied, a visa. So all these years, if they cannot suppress me, they suppress my family member, try to silence me.
Wow. Well, we've heard this story from Amy and from you and from various other people who have talked about how China does repress its citizens when they become unhappy with their whatever they might be doing. So has this whole experience with this particular story and the fact that all that work you did and was posted and now it's not posted any longer, if folks want to read the translation, is it still possible for them to find it on the internet?
Yes, I posted it on Rumble. How to spell that word? Rumble. It's another, I think,
Rumble. RUMBLE. That's a social. That's a social media platform, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's something they say alternative to YouTube. So if you search for Inconvenient Truths by Jennifer Zeng, that's my channel name, you should be able to find it. Also, I've posted the link to that video on my Facebook and on my Twitter, Parler, and Gap, MeWe. So this kind of platform you can still be able to look for it.
Wow.
And also, if anyone actually still want to read the story, I think if you trying to find the Tucker Carlson's program, Fox News, yes, he broadcast the whole piece of the video clips in his program, and he stopped it from time to time and add his own comments into it. So you should be able to still watch that from Tucker Carlson's program. Jennifer, you are a writer. You wrote a story about your own experience in China, detained by Chinese Communist regime because you're practicing Falun Gong. What's the name of your book?
The Chinese book is Still Water Runs Deep. The English is Witnessing History, One Woman's Fight for Freedom and Falun Gong. So you can search for the name. And also I want to mention that I have my own website, Jennifer Zeng, Z-E-N-G, jenniferzengblog.com. So I actually have the text or the transcript of the Professor Di Dongsheng. We talked about his full speech in text, in transcript, in English and Chinese on my website. If you don't have time to watch an 18-minute video, you can quickly look through the text to get an idea of what he was talking about. And I have my bio and where you can buy a copy of my book, the link to my book on the About page on my website, jenniferzengblog.com.
What a fascinating story. Thank you for being with us today.
Jennifer, it's our great pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon.
Yeah, I think we will welcome you, Jennifer. We will welcome you back because I really want to know something about the Falun Gong, and because I never talked to anybody. And it's being jailed. Yeah. Because
Amy, why don't you just ask now? We still have some time, Amy.
Can I ask you now? I saw that she's leaving. So anyway, I lived in China for 30 years. I left in 1982. So I believe I recall that Falun Gong was during the Jiang Zemin time, right? Jiang Zemin regime. Yeah.
Yes.
And that time CCP already have lots of propagandas, because I live in San Francisco, so the company I work, I came overlooking the Union Square. I saw the Falun Gong people protesting, and they practice the Falun Gong, and also in front of the Chinese consulate. And so the lots of American people, they ask me, say, yeah, Amy, do you know anything about the Falun Gong? And they think, because the Chinese CCP's propaganda, they think Falun Gong is some kind of religious cult. It's like a people's temple, the Jonestown kind of thing. So they just say, oh, that's a religious the cult. It's nothing. So I say, no, I don't believe that. I think it's a human rights issues. Yeah, but because the propaganda, they told the American people, and this is a religious cult. Just they just same as those bad religious, like the cult, like Jonestown, lots of people die, followers or something like that. Even people, I have a lot of friends, they still in China, they were warning me, so don't get there to support the Falun Gong, anything else. So, and some people even said, oh, they are the inside of Chinese CCP. So they said because Jiang Zemin fired lots of people, and those people retired, so they organized the Falun Gong to practice. So I just want to know, maybe you can tell us how this Falun Gong movement started. What about it?
Falun Gong actually is a very ancient, you can say it's a mind, body, spirit practice that was introduced to the public in 1992 by Mr. Li Hongzhi. So it basically has 3 principles to follow in your daily life: truth, compassion, tolerance, or forbearance. You don't have to leave your home to go to a temple or to go to live in a church or in a mountain. You live your ordinary daily life, but follow the 3 principles and plus do 5 sets of very gentle exercises, including sitting meditation and standing meditation. And because of, I think, the very obvious benefits, many people, very sick people, regain their health and energy after they practice it. So it spread very, very fast inside China. So within 7 years, the people who were practicing Falun Gong outnumbered the CCP members. So in 1999, it was estimated by the Chinese Communist Party that there were about somewhere between 70 to 100 million people practicing Falun Gong because it was so good. So at that stage, the party viewed it as a problem. China is a one-party country. It never allows any independent thinking, independent voices, or independent some kind of people doing something outside of the CCP system. So at that stage, the Jiang Zemin, he was the head of the CCP. Then he decided to crack down on Falun Gong. Actually, despite the fact that all the other members of this political bureau all against his decision, but somehow, it's a dictatorship, it's a totalitarian system. So he was the chairman of the army. He controls the army, the party, and the administration. So he launched the crackdown anyway. So it was a very, very overwhelming crackdown. All the media, all the newspapers, radio, they bombarded the public with all those lies and propaganda and to demonize Falun Gong. That's how all Chinese people, anybody who lived in China, and even overseas, if they read Chinese newspapers or Chinese language propaganda, or even in English, because English they carry what's in the official media. You were filled with all those lies, very astonishing lies about Falun Gong, and then that's why and how people got those bad or very negative impression of Falun Gong, and it made us in a very, very bad, awkward, position, because it wants to crack down on this group. So the first thing is we need to find excuse to crack down. So they made all sorts of lies about Falun Gong and threw them in jail, including myself. I was arrested 4 times and then thrown into a female labor camp for 1 year and do all sorts of hard labor and be tortured, and I think escape the fate of becoming an organ donor and have my organs removed and killed by the CCP. If I had not told the doctor on my way, from a detention center to the labor camp that I had hepatitis C before I practiced Falun Gong, I could have already become a victim. In the labor camp, we were given physical checkups repeatedly and got our blood tested, but we were never ever shown the results of the blood test. Only after many years, I learned that the reason why they test us is they want to store our data in a system. Yeah, so anyone in America, if you need an organ, just find a match in that database and kill that person in demand. That's how they can find a match for you within days or 2 weeks. Where in the U.S. and in Australia, you have to wait years for a match, but they do reverse match. That's why they could do it so fast.
Wow.
So they still have the can, the retain all the Falun Gong plastic?
Yes, they still yes, I think the labor camp system was abolished in 2014 because it's a totally illegal system, and because of, I think, many international pressure, the system itself got abolished, but the crackdown on Falun Gong continues. They just sent these people to real jails, to detention center, or maybe even to mental hospitals, and still got them detained somewhere and tortured very badly.
So lots of people, they just say disappeared. Actually, just put in the camp also. Well,
yes. I have a personal friend in New York. His brother was missing since the crackdown, and to this day, over 20 years, he still didn't know whether his brother is still alive or died.
Oh, that's awful. Jennifer, we're running out of time here in the hour. We want to thank you again for being with us on the program today, and we'll love to have you back.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take our break, and we'll be back to wrap up the hour in just a moment.
At New Leaf Community Markets, we're working hard to make shopping safe this holiday season. Whether you plan to shop online, in stores, or both. Want to skip the crowds? Reserve your holiday entrees and sides online. Choose tender cuts of grass-fed, California-raised beef from Sun-Fed Ranch. and find the perfect bottle to go with it in our wine pairing guide. Head to newleaf.com/holiday to start planning your menu and make good food the star of your holiday celebration.
Hi, my name's Duffy, and my specialty is land clearing, particularly clearing land of poison oak. Because unlike most people, I don't get poison oak. But I do get it out of your life. And effectively, efficiently, and reasonably, thank you. I do all the work myself, and you are only paying me, not an army of lazy do-nothings. I work by the job, not by the hour. And you'll be pleased with my work because I have high standards, and I take pride in my work. I also know how to maximize output and quality of fruits, vegetables, flowers, and anything that grows in the soil. I'm very good at what I do, and you deserve to know about me. Call me and leave a voicemail.
650-766-7208.
That's
650-766-7208.
Oh, yeah. Almost forgot. I'm proud of Trump. The best president we ever had.
When the idea of divorce becomes a reality, you need someone on your side. If you are a man in this situation, you should consider contacting Cordell & Cordell, who has helped men navigate complex family legal issues for 30 years. Visit us at CordellCordell.com to learn more.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's California attorneys. Online at CordellCordell.com, 1455 Frazee Road, Suite 500, San Diego, California, 92108.
What a fascinating guest Jennifer was. We'll have to have her back on the program again.
Yeah, the one thing that really touched me was that when she put, she was basically just, she didn't really describe the situation. Basically, it was the original video clip. She just put a English caption, when the guy speak, right? So she put it on the internet. It's the original, just plus the English caption that subtitle, she added, right? Subtitle. But YouTube actually censored it. That really struck me.
Yeah. What's the difference now? That's what I'm talking about. We say our WeChat was banned this, banned that. We cannot. But, I don't understand this.
No,
what's going on? Do we have a freedom of speech?
Right. Well, I have to ask, is YouTube still an American company?
It's a very good question, actually.
Owned by Chinese.
Well, certainly there must be some pressure being put on the owners of Facebook and other social platforms when stuff just gets wholesalely removed, Listen, we're at the YouTube is owned by Google now, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Google owns YouTube, yes.
Yeah. Listen, we've got a whole nother hour coming up. Fascinating Air Force, former Air Force general. We'll talk to him, and we want to talk to you as well. So we'll be back after we check out the network news at the top of the hour. You're listening to China Uber Alice. I'm Bill Graff, along with Nan Su and Amy Howe, and we invite you to join us in the next hour on China Uber Alice. Don't forget, by the way, to check out our website. This is KSCO Santa Cruz.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. An advisory panel of the Food and Drug Administration has recommended authorization of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine at this hour. Evan Fine, who took part in the Pfizer vaccine trial, says he was comfortable with the trial.
Nothing felt rushed, and I never felt like a guinea pig. The question that everyone asks me is, well, what happened in the long term? Are there any long-term side effects? And it's been more than 5 months now since my first shot, and I can happily report that there are none.
The public review by the FDA comes as UK regulators investigate 2 apparent cases of allergic reaction to the vaccine. With the recommendation of approval of the Pfizer vaccine in the United States, the FDA will consider final approval in the next few days, and the first shots could follow. Next week, the FDA will consider the approval of the Moderna vaccine. A possible stall on the COVID-19 relief bill. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's demands for a liability shield don't square with what is needed to pass a bipartisan relief bill.
There is strong bipartisan support for state and local aid. There is not the same broad bipartisan support for sweeping corporate immunity.
But McConnell says businesses and other organizations need protection against COVID-19 related lawsuits.
Now, our Democratic colleagues want to pretend they're bravely fighting big corporations, but they're really bullying small business owners and college presidents who've been pleading for these protections.
A one-week extension of a potential government shutdown appears to have sapped some urgency from those talks. Vice President Mike Pence told voters in Augusta, Georgia, that returning their U.S. Senate incumbents to Washington will help secure a GOP Senate. No candidates received a majority of votes in November, triggering the two January 5th runoffs. Mixed day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 69 points. The Nasdaq rose 66. More at townhall.com.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Michaels with some important news. I will be out at the Dave Cave all this week from 12 till 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, I'll be scheduling pickups and deliveries, sending out packages, answering questions, and, of course, practicing social distancing. If you want longevity products, call or text 831-218-5726. That's 831-218-KSCO or email dm@ksco.com, and we'll make sure that you get what you're looking for. To pick up your order, call or text first, or just come down to the Dave Cave and knock on the door. Due to the coronavirus, no one will be allowed in the cave, and we ask that you please wear a mask. To reach me, you can call or text 831-218-5726. That's 831-218-KSCO or email dm@ksco.com. The Dave Cave is at 2300 Portola Drive in Santa Cruz, and I will be out there from 12 till 7 p.m.
Here's the townhall.com business brief.
Stocks finishing mixed on Wall Street following more evidence that the pandemic is tightening its grip on the economy. Meanwhile, efforts in Congress to supply more financial support to people and businesses remain stuck. Treasury yields fell following a worse-than-expected report on unemployment claims. The latest reminder that the pandemic is doing more damage to the economy in the near term, even if prospects are rising that a COVID-19 vaccine will get the economy healthy in the longer term. The Dow lost 69 points today to close at 29,999. The Nasdaq gained 66 to 12,405. The S&P 500 was off 4 points today to 3,668. New York oil gained $1.36 to $46.88 a barrel. With business, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Britain's economic growth slowed for a sixth consecutive month in October as the coronavirus pandemic continued to hammer hotels, restaurants, and nightclubs.
The Office for National Statistics says gross domestic product expanded 0.4% in October from a month earlier. The economy was expected to slow sharply after that as a resurgence in coronavirus cases led to the closure of more shops and businesses nationwide. While GDP has expanded for 6 straight months, Britain's economy is still 7.9% smaller than it was before the pandemic.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting. Airbnb stocks shares more than doubled in price as the home-sharing company made its debut today on the Nasdaq. San Francisco-based Airbnb priced its shares at $68 a piece late yesterday ahead of its long-awaited IPO. They opened today at $146 a share. More on these stories at townhall.com.
KSCO News Talk time is 3:05. I'm Sam Quinton with your King of the Hill traffic and weather. We'll start off in Hollister-Gilroy. Highway 101 northbound at Monterey Street off-ramp. We have a traffic collision there. That's reportedly a vehicle versus a tree, and we have emergency crews on the scene. Elsewhere in Hollister-Gilroy, Highway 156 at San Felipe Road, we have a blocking of the intersection. It doesn't say by what, and units have been assigned to go check that out. Let's take a look at Highway 17 right now, up and over the summit, accident-free and moving at the limit. Highway 9, that is clear. Highway 1 from the Fishhook down to Monterey, also accident-free. moving at the limit. Highway 101 from San Jose down to King City. That is accident-free, moving at the limit. Your Central Coast forecast for today, sunny with a high near 62 expected. Northwest wind around 11 miles per hour this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, looking for overnight lows of 38 degrees, getting a little bit colder. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies and a high of only 58 degrees. Right now, outside the KSCO studios, it is 63 degrees. Now, stay tuned. We have the second hour of China Uber Alice on KSCO.
It is indeed hour number 2 of our program today. I'm Bill Graff along with Nan Su and Amy Howe. And, well, we've had quite a first hour. We started out with Amy's story.
And then we have a Jennifer's story.
And what a story it was. I think part of the fascinating part of her story for me was also the fact that, the Falun Gong part of her story is horrific.
I actually have 2 friends, very personal friends, that I grew up with in the same neighborhood, and they are the sister of each other. Both of them died because under the persecution of Falun Gong in China. And wow. And their younger brother was my classmate, and so we're very close. So that story, it's
kind of hits home.
Yeah.
We have on the KSCO live line one of our KSCO staff members here, Michael Olson, wanted to ask a question. Michael, welcome to China Uber Alice. Hello.
Hello.
Michael, you're there?
Hello.
Hi.
It's me.
You wanted to ask a question?
Yes, thank you very much. I do want to ask a question. In the first hour, you had Jennifer on, and Jennifer was talking about the persecution of the Falun Gong, correct?
That was right.
And she brought up a name as the person who led the prosecution of the Falun Gong. Do you remember that name?
That's China's chairman, Jiang Zemin, Chairman Zhang. That was between 1989 to 2003. He was the chairman of Chinese Communist Party as well as the government of China.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe he is now in charge of the Chinese biotech industry, part of which includes the Wuhan Virology Institute.
He has his hands. He has been having his hands in control of many aspects of China. But he actually officially retired in 2003. But after he retired, he continuously held a lot of control of a lot of things in China in many aspects.
Well, from what I understand,
behind the scene.
Yeah, he is behind the scene.
Behind the scene.
And his children and grandchildren are in front of the scene.
That's right. That is correct.
They are oligarchs, very, very rich.
So he is the oligarch that prosecuted Falun Gong and was responsible or in an ownership position of some kind of the Wuhan Virology Institute and the Chinese biotech industry.
Yeah, there are reports about that. Now, we have to say, ever since 2012, Chairman Xi became the chairman of Chinese government. Chairman Xi had a huge power struggle with Chairman Jiang. So I would say Chairman Xi right now had has become much more powerful than Chairman Jiang. So kind of like who have more control? It's hard to say.
There you go. Just wanted to throw that name out there. It's a very interesting connection there.
Well, thank you, Michael. We appreciate it.
Yes.
We also have on the KSCO live line Dick. Dick is calling from Santa Cruz. Dick, you're on KSCO.
Great show again. I wanted to comment about the Falun Gong, the organ donations. Now in Israel, the government of Israel has refused, I know, to take any of those. And I'm pretty sure that the medical institute here has not refuted it or refused it. I was wondering if you're aware of that or you know anything about it, that we're accepting organs from China. Are we?
Yeah, I think that Israel was actually one of the first country. Actually, was the first country that make the regulation. Basically, if you go to China to receive organ transplant, then you're not going to be paid by any insurance program in Israel. What happened is, right. I think it's back in 2003 or 2004. One of the doctor in Israel. And realized that his patient came to tell him that they can go to China to receive organ transplant, and so at the beginning the medical doctor basically think, oh, these poor farmers in China, in order to improve their family's financial situation, they try to donate one of they must have been donated one of their kidneys, right? Mm-hmm. But then later they found actually many of the Israelis went to China who will receive lungs, hearts, that kind of organ transplant, and they actually set the day. Say they actually set you a day. This is the day outrageous. You are going to receive the organ transplant, and then you go there 2 weeks before, and then they actually receive those organ transplant by the day it was set.
Right.
So that was a horrible story. So that basically that's what get the Israeli medical society worried, and then they did their own investigation, and eventually they have the Israeli government pass the regulation. If you go
the American Medical Association though I don't think they have. I don't think they've denounced it. I don't think we have no law against it. It's outrageous. I mean, it's happening in the Arab world too because of the, the folks over there. They have a lot of the Islam guys locked up in China. I forget the name of them, and they don't eat. They're kosher, so they want those organs. The Arabs. It's outrageous that the world, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the American Medical Association, the United States Congress, it just goes on and on, that this has not been denounced. And it's all because China has so much control. I mean, right now they're passing an extension of H-1B visas that give the Chinese kids that come over here from their rich parents, they all get into school, they can stay here forever. It was an OPT program. Now they're extending it so they were only given 2 years before. Now they can stay forever.
Really?
Green cards. Yeah.
What was the program? What was the program?
I think it's either OTP or OPT. It's the occupational training program out of college as a STEM
H1
graduate.
Visa?
Oh well, no. The H-1B visa program. That's a student visa, okay? They just have student visas. The H-1 has also been extended, big giant numbers for that, and it's up to Trump to veto it, but of course, Biden won't. And then, all the rhino Republicans, I can't believe it, they're selling out American jobs. It's just unbelievable. That's what Trump got all those votes for and got elected. I mean, he might have lost this time, but I don't think so. And one last thing, they also have a wealthy EB-5, I think it's called EB-5 visa program, for very wealthy people around the world where now that's been altered so that all the backlog wealthy Chinese, because most of them have had an application in for that, where you come here and there's certain stipulations.
Some money, yeah.
Yeah, they're just basically rich. I'm not arguing so much about that, but they're buying every.
Obama started $500,000 investment. You can have a green card. That was Obama time.
Yeah, did he start that? Well, I don't know, but
yes, he did.
Okay, I know he gave all the H-1B visa spouses work permits forever while their H-1B guys are here. They never go away either. So it's outrageous what they're doing to the American worker, and it's outrageous what the American Medical Association's doing, and Congress, and it just goes on and on, supporting such an unbelievable practice. Yeah, pick from A, B, and C, heart, lung. I'll take it next Thursday after my tennis game. I'll fly to Beijing. Thanks a lot. Line my guy up and cut his throat. It's just this is 2020. This is why radio programs like this and others point this out whenever we can about the fact that this is happening and it is not going away. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Dick. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call.
You can hear the concern in his voice, and rightfully so. This is a practice because of the persecution situation in
China.
In China, this is happening.
And also around the world, all the American government has not done much to try to stop this kind of really a tragedy. I don't know how to even call it anymore. I'm just out of my words.
Well, it's horrific.
That's what the situation is. Now, what I do know is Australia government actually. They did something. What they did was they actually asked if any Chinese doctor would come to Australia as a organ transplant in that kind of a field. They will ask them to sign the paper, say the skill that you learn here will not be used in China to any kind of a forced organ transplant. Mm-hmm. So they have to sign the paper. Now, the only thing that actually I'm aware that what the federal government has done is, I believe that's back in 2011. In 2011, the Homeland Security actually altered the custom paper. Say when you fly coming to the United States, you have to fill the custom paper.
Right.
They added one question in that custom paper, and they added one question, say, have you ever involved in the forced organ transplant? So that was the only thing that I'm aware of that the federal government to try to encounter this issue.
And, it makes me wonder, and I'm sure it makes you two wonder, even if somebody signs a paper, even if a doctor learns how to transplant things in Australia and signs the paper saying he's not going to do it, if he goes back to China, how's anybody in Australia going to know that he's doing that?
I think
that's right.
I think we're just facing a regime that have too much money and too much influence in the Western world, and to all our government officials. That one of the examples that you just talked about, Eric Swalwell, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You see, he used to be a city council member of a city of Dublin. Now, I believe one of the report actually mentioned it was the Chinese spy trying to raise money, help him to elected who actually he beat Peter Stark. Peter Stark is a long-term Democratic congressman here, and then Eric Swalwell, helped by the spy from China, raise money for him. So he beat Peter Stark, and he became the congressman of the 15th district.
There you go. And apparently he was friendly
to China.
Nice way to put it. He was friendly with the this person who ended up being a bona fide Chinese spy.
Yeah, the story I read was FBI was paying attention to Chinese consulate in San Francisco. There was a unit basically doing all the spying activities here in the United States. Now, when they are watching that unit, how it operates in San Francisco consulate, and all of a sudden they found this lady, her name is Fang, right, was in connection or somehow contacted that unit. So then the FBI start chasing her around.
Apparently all over the United States.
Yeah, she covered her activities all over the United States, and she's specifically targeting all the politicians.
Yes.
With?
Well, we don't know, right? Deep relationship. That's the only thing I can say. Deep relationship with all the politicians. So that's why eventually FBI made a conclusion she is on some sort of mission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some sort of mission.
Right, Eric Swovo, it's in the Congressional Intelligence Committee, and apparently he was removed from the Intelligence Committee yesterday because his involvement with Chinese spies.
Because they can't prove that he hasn't been passing secrets and other stuff, other information.
Yeah, but Nancy Pelosi said they are not concerned.
Really?
They're not concerned about.
Well, he has not been charged with anything, and we have to say that, of course. He hasn't been charged or accused.
Well, at least you shouldn't say it's not concerned, right?
Yeah, exactly, she said.
Well,
I'm not concerned about it.
Quote.
That's exactly what she said.
In the story I have, this is a quote now. Even though U.S. officials do not believe Feng received or passed on classified information, the case is a big deal because there were some really, really sensitive people that were caught up in the intelligence network. A current senior U.S. intelligence official says this in the story. So private but unclassified information about government officials, such as their habits, preferences, schedules, social networks, and even rumors about them, is a form of political intelligence, according to U.S. intelligence experts.
Wow.
So they're collecting stuff like, where they like to eat, where they go to church, what bank they use, that kind of stuff. Just so they've got as much information on them as they can collect.
So they can approach you. I think that's it's for them to make their plan to approach these people.
Yeah, exactly.
And think about it.
For the long term, cultivated long term.
What?
Not just immediately, just for long term, like a young politician, like this guy,
Yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah, think about that. Eric Swovo was a 2020 Democratic presidential election candidate for the primary election. So Chinese regime is really playing long term.
Long term, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, the more you learn about this government and the way they operate, and how ruthless they are in many aspects of the way they conduct the government, it is really quite scary.
It is scary. Yeah, it is scary. Just think about Jennifer Zeng, and she didn't really do much. She just translated the piece of a video and then put on her Twitter, and then put it on her YouTube channel. And YouTube took it down. And why is that? Yeah. Do you believe there's no Chinese regime's influence behind that?
Well, she didn't alter the video. She just put a subtitle on it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why YouTube did that? we have to ask that kind of questions. Think about that. What specifically in the video is basically that guy, the deputy director of International Relationship Institute, basically said Wall Street has been helping Chinese Communist regime to solve all the problems between U.S. and China. Right? So because Trump, Wall Street cannot fix Trump. So now they have to wait until Biden come into power, and Chinese government already set up all these investment firms for Biden's family.
Well, the one that got me was the paragraph or the couple of sentences where he says, as he's giving the speech to the people watching, he says, if we can't solve the problem with the stack of money, we'll just get another stack of money.
I think that Jennifer should sue you too.
Well,
it's a constitution.
Right, you know that.
Speech.
Yeah, you know that YouTube actually made an announcement yesterday, right? Yesterday, YouTube made an announcement, 2020 election is over, it's all certified, therefore, if anybody talk about election fraud, the video is going to be taken down. This is a public announcement.
If they use the word, fraud, then that's when they're going to take it down. So they have to instead use irregularity or some other kind of phrase. But if they use the word,
they have no right to do that. Absolutely, they decided.
Now it's a public announcement.
They become a law now. Huh? Really?
I think they are above the law.
They should have a class action against it.
Well, good luck with that. YouTube is pretty big now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why I think people is going to different social media platform to try to have more freedom. Now this is a joke. I think this is completely a joke. I mean, now we not only have a government trying to censor whatever we talk about. Now we have a big corporation also have the kind of a power censor what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, to tell you what you're supposed to say or not say or what. What is this?
Well, when the law was changed a while back and corporations are now considered people, the rules kind of changed for a lot of aspects of how corporations and companies are dealt with, because in some aspects under the law they're treated under the law as people instead of corporation.
Well, I think it's all because of the whatever it's a 320 the new regulation of 320. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the law actually created the internet business. Wherever it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it gave all these social media platform freedom, so they are protected. They're not responsible.
They're not published.
Yeah,
that's just
for wherever it's published. But however, it does give them the power.
It's provide platform, so they're immune to that. So, but actually right now they're acting like they can censor everybody. What is this?
Well, so I don't know how long this is still going to keep going.
Who gave them the right to do that?
That's correct. I mean, we don't have our, we have the big corporates that's going to take all the First Amendment rights from us. That's just really nonsense.
Well, what's interesting about this for me is not only is it happening here, in the United States, but around the world. These big companies are used in other countries, and they operate under slightly different, rules in those particular countries. But it's still, they're open to. The other countries are open to the way those corporations operate. So, if Google sets up a certain set of rules in the United States, you can bet that if somebody is using that platform in Israel or the United Kingdom or somewhere else, the similar set of rules apply for those countries as well.
Yeah, that's wherever I found that's very interesting. I think there is a difference between the United States government and the government of any country, because we are supposed to be the leader of a free world. Wherever we do here, wherever happen in this country, supposed to really have a huge impact to wherever it's going to happen in other nations. So I think that we should be more careful about what's going on and what's happening in this country. So at least people will not get the wrong idea. Yeah, Chinese communist regime. It's telling what Americans doing now.
We are having having some difficulty in dialing our general. I think it may be because our phone system does not generate tones for the the dial in on the conference. So we've been trying to dial it now for a few minutes. So we'll see if we can do that.
It's kind of break a lot on and off. I heard here.
Yeah.
Here. I listen. Yeah, not stable signal.
You're Amy. You sound fine at our end, so bear with it. But we invite your calls at 479-1080 if you want to try to get on with us. We're attempting to talk to our guest. Brigadier General Robert Spalding, a retired Air Force general. He's a senior fellow at the Hudson Research-based think tank, and that's in D.C., Washington, D.C. We're trying to hook him up now, but we, as I mentioned, are having some difficulty in entering the final code. So,
but anyway, so if you want to join the discussion, you can certainly call us to talk about the things we have been talking about today.
Yeah, obviously, if you're a person who, if you're a person who has a need for an organ or a need for, something like that, how would you, if somebody said to me, we found, if I needed like a kidney transplant, somebody said to me, well, we found a kidney for you. I would actually be horrified. I would want to know where it came from and the circumstances, because, man, that's just the worst. If you think of it in terms of, karma or however you want to look at it like that, that's got to be the worst karma in the world.
That is correct. Think about this. If you think about someone, it's killing someone else to take their organs to put it inside your body. What do you think?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, really.
That is like the worst precursor of bad luck ever. And it's not your fault. You're just receiving the kidney. You didn't, But wow. I would want to know where it came from, how it got here. Some circumstances so that I could be reasonably assured that I'm not getting a Falun Gong harvested kidney. Just wow. We have some calls. Let's talk to. We'll bring Judith on. Judith, you're calling from Live Oak today?
Yes. Hi. That's where I live, in the bird sanctuary of Live Oak. Well, this has just been fascinating. I want to get Jennifer's name. I couldn't him. Could you guys spell it out?
Zeng is her last name.
Zeng?
Z as in zebra.
Okay.
E-N-G, Jennifer Zeng.
Zeng.
Yes.
Wow.
And you can find out more about her if you didn't understand her websites and the rest of all that information you gave. Just go to the Epoch Times website, and she's one of the senior reporters there, and it will forward some of her information.
Yeah, the name of her book, I think the name of her website, it's called Inconvenient Truths.
Yeah, I have that written down.
And also the book name that she wrote, it's called Witnessing History, One Chinese Woman's Fight for Freedom.
One Chinese Woman's Fight for Freedom. Thank you. I had it partly written.
Yeah, Witnessing History. One Chinese woman's fight
for freedom.
Isn't that a great title? Well, we will win here in America, I believe. Since you're talking about Falun Gong and all this, I just want to put out a hint about maybe a future show. I don't know. I personally was introduced to something called the Book of Changes in the 60s. It's a Chinese oracle book, also called the I Ching. I just wondered if you guys are aware of it. It's probably been banned in China now, but it's a very amazing oracle. Have you ever heard of it, you guys?
Oh yes, I Ching. I Ching actually, the Book of Change. It's one of the oldest Taoist book that's ever written, because China has a long tradition from Taoist philosophy. So that book has probably more than I would say more than 3,000 years of history, and that book has a lot of people reading it. You're probably talking about the H-gram, and you talk about all different 8 different energies in the universe, how they combine to each other.
I took a philosophy class at the University of Hawaii, and the featured book was the I Ching.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. I have like about 10 different translations. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a long history Chinese book. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those philosophies have already been wiped out. I would say most of those philosophies are really being wiped out in China after the communist regime took over control of China. All the traditional philosophies and all the religions, regardless of which religion it is, it's all under suppression.
Look at Tibet.
Oh yeah. Tibetan. That's Tibetan Buddhism was one of them under suppression.
Yeah. Well, listen, we appreciate the call, and hopefully that information helps you find out more about this great reporter Jennifer, who did a lot of work in translating that, and then promptly her family got in trouble, and the thing got pulled down, and quite a story. Anyway, thanks for the call.
Oh, you brave Chinese people, thank you so much. We're going to save this whole world.
All right, let's check in with Jeff, who's calling from Santa Cruz. Jeff, you're on China Uber Alice.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. You guys talking about Biden and all of his ties to China and all that. It was becoming apparent that he might get elected. I was just dawned on me that there should be a T-shirt that says, Biden, America for sale, everything must go.
That's a good one.
That guy's been bought and sold so many more times than you can even imagine. I just don't, how anybody put their trust in that guy is just beyond me.
Biden auction, huh?
Well, if you look, I don't know if there's a patent on that phrase. You might want to just see if you can print up some T-shirts.
I may do that. I don't want to get thrown out of the county.
Oh well. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, I will say this about the current situation with China. It has helped shine a light on a situation that many Americans I don't think were completely aware of. Until we started hearing stories like Amy's stories each week on this program. Look, the first story Amy told was horrifying to me, and then each story has another shines a light on another aspect of what it's like to have grown up in China. It's just amazing to me. I actually can't wait for the second half of Amy's story next week. But I do get the idea that many of us, the way we were raised in the United States is so profoundly different than the way both of you two were raised in China that sometimes I don't even think we can understand what it's like. I mean, do you get that impression, Amy?
Yeah, I think I compare with when we grow up, everything was here. People grow up here is very, very different.
Yeah.
But so it's something, if you're not experienced, it's hard to tell. You really know about it, whether they're talking about it. So that's why I'm wondering about lots of people. They just probably, today we're supposed to have the tribal rodent, but that was not there. I'm talking about the suffer some movements copying the Cultural Revolution.
Uh-huh.
But the people support it, and they don't know anything about it. They don't know basically what's the real thing, what's the socialism, what's the result of that. They don't know about it. So.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a guest, Brigadier General, retired Air Force one-star general, to be on our show. But however, we have some technical difficulties to make connection with him. So
the phone just won't hook up. We've tried about 12 times.
Yeah.
And we can't make it work. So we'll schedule the general for a future visit.
Yeah.
And try to figure out a better technical way to get him on the show. We're good at that, but today it just didn't work out.
It didn't work out. Now, I'm talking about China. I'm glad right now the Trump administration is doing something. I'm not sure if you heard that yesterday. The Trump administration just announced another 21 Chinese companies. Their name are going to be taken down from the Wall Street trading list, and because they all have military connections or backgrounds with the Chinese military. So
that's comforting news. At least 21 companies won't be traded with them.
So they wouldn't be able to get money from the American investors, basically.
Well, that's a start. Money does tend to slow things down or speed things up depending on which way it's going. So, Pure Heart has called the radio program. Pure Heart, you're on China Uber Alice.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I just have a general question about Chinese culture, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
I wonder if you could explain the concept of faith, which I think is,
Oh, yeah.
Would it be possible for me to go to China and then hopelessly insult people without even knowing it? And how do you... Can you explain what it's all about and how it works?
Yes. Chinese culture started from Taoist philosophy. So Taoist philosophy worked like this. There was a book, it's called Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching was the second most translated book in the human history other than Bible. So it's the book talking about the Taoism. The writer was lived at about 2,500 years ago. He was about 29 years older than Confucius. Now, he was not the first Taoist, because the Taoist philosophy is being, with Chinese history as far as, people can remember. Right, but however, before that book was written, Taoist philosophy was like each generation they will pick a few disciples to secretly passing those philosophy down from generation to generation. Now, in 2,500 years ago, Lao Tzu was the first Taoist philosopher who wrote a book and make all those philosophy to the public. So therefore, he was considered as a founder of Taoism. Now, in that book, it's very clear. That's how the face of Taoism goes. It says, at the beginning of the book, it says there's something exists in the universe. It's always alone. It's always exist. It's the beginning of heaven and earth. It's the mother of everything. I don't know what that thing is, but I'm trying to use the Chinese character Tao to describe its existence. So that's basically what Taoist philosophy started. Basically, if you talk about faith, Taoist philosophy believe there is a creator. That's what what we just talked about. Well, Taoist people believe there is a creator, but they just don't know who that creator is and how he created everything. Now, so basically, the philosophy the bottom line of the philosophy come to this. Taoist philosophy believe that although we don't know who the creator is and how he created everything, but we do know everything around us was created by him. So therefore, if we closely examine how everything was created by him, so maybe we can find the philosophy of the creator, which is Tao.
We're gonna reverse engineer it. We're gonna look at it and try to figure it out.
That's right. That's what the Taoist philosophy is about. So that's why the Chinese culture is always welcome. Any religion from anywhere from the world, like a Christianity came to China, welcome. Buddhism came to China, welcome. Anything. So because they are just a different way of searching for God, right? So they are all welcome. So religious freedom, it's always been with Chinese culture.
They were always welcome.
Yeah.
Were.
Oh, yes. They were always welcome until 1949, the Chinese communist regime took over control of China.
Yeah.
I hope I answer your question.
Okay, how do you spell Tao? T-A-O in English?
Yes.
Yes, you can speak if you spell as T-A-O, but in original Chinese pronunciation, that's D-A-O.
D-A-O.
So either way, it's Taoism or Taoism. It depends which dialect it's from.
Yeah, it depends which language you were speaking when you translated it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pierre Hart. All right, let's check in with Jerome, who's calling from Castroville, I believe.
Yes, thank you. I was just curious about Google going over into China and being allowed into China. I was last there in 2016, and Google was never allowed over there. Do you have any idea what they did to allow them in there?
That's a good question. Actually,
that's a very good question.
Yeah, based on what I learned was that Google entered China in the early 2000s, and then because they had the principle of do no evil, so eventually they withdraw from China. Because the Chinese government asked them to censor all the information they want them to censor. So they didn't want to do it, so they withdraw from China. But until, I believe it's I'm not sure it's 2017 or 2018, Google had this AI specialist who is a Stanford doctor, Stanford professor named Fei Li. And so they hired this lady to become one of the senior level manager in Google, and she is the AI specialist, artificial intelligence.
Right.
So she convinced the Google to go back to China because they say I think for the data, like a big data study, you need a lot of volume to study people, whatever. Somehow she convinced the Google went back to China and to build the Google Cloud Center, wherever all these AI study over there.
There's a scary concept for me.
Actually, they compromised when they're talking about do no evil.
That's right.
I think a couple of
we'll
weeks
do
ago,
some evil. It'll be okay. We'll do a little evil.
A couple of weeks ago, we have this Google whistleblower. The guy was talking about a couple of weeks ago that Saturday special and talk about it. So we met him and later, and so basically just they do evil. That's it. End of the story.
Yeah,
It's because of money, bigger money.
It's a big money, and also Google. Based on my own study, I actually wrote a report about it. Google actually build some sort of a collaboration with Tsinghua University. That's China's MIT. Yeah. And then they help Tsinghua University, that China's MIT, to develop the AI program, and that program in that university actually received huge amount of money from Chinese military.
Well, obviously, because they want artificial intelligence for the Chinese military.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's what Google is doing.
Robot soldiers. Yeah. So that's
Jerome, did we answer any part of your question there with all of that?
So China can buy everything. Money
that's
can buy
perfect hearing
everything.
it from the
They
Chinese
believe.
themselves.
Yeah, and you know, sure, go ahead.
One other thing, if I could, please. They had a deal over there too. They outlawed Uber because they were going to put their own cars into it. And then I just heard on the radio, I think it was yesterday, that San Francisco is going to do the same thing. They're outlawing Uber and stuff up there, trying to outlaw it here in California, so they can put in their own electric or self-operated cars that don't have drivers. And they're doing that now, some outfit in Texas. You heard about that?
That's the first time I just heard.
Yeah, I've never heard that, but that's a very interesting. I'll have to research that. Jerome, thank you for the heads up on that.
Okay, well, I appreciate all your help, and I appreciate very much the people from China here opening up and letting us know about China, because when I was over there, I learned a lot.
Yeah,
but the Chinese people are great people, and to me, they just don't understand what's fully involved in the Communist Party and what's really running the country.
Well, you know, as Nan, Sue, and Amy have both pointed out to me, I think a lot of people do understand what it is, but it's so hard to overcome the overriding, way they're running that country now. It's very difficult to try to, get out of the country. It's enormously hard.
Yeah.
Yes, but also with the homes over there, those 30-story poured-in-place concrete buildings they're calling houses, and the people pay like 900,000 yuan to buy one of these homes, and then when they're done paying for it, they just start over again. You never own it. And then I just understand now that socialism, that's part of what it is. You'll never own your own personal property. The government owns it.
Yes. So what you actually purchase, it's a 30 years of a right to use that unit.
Sorry.
That's
sorry
what they
for laughing, but
wow.
Sorry for
they
laughing.
own all the land.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I feel like on my mortgage, though. I got to tell you the truth. I feel like I'm just renting it from the bank.
Well, but problem is after you pay for 30 years, you own it, right? But then, if you have that piece of property in China, after 30 years, you're paying for it, you just have to start all over again, pay another 30 years.
Start over again. That's what was
you never
getting
own
me
the
there.
land. It's the lease.
Yeah.
Lease the land.
Well, Jerome, on that very upbeat thought, thank you for the call.
I appreciate your time and everything, and I enjoy listening to the program, so keep it up, please.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
We're just about, we're running low on time. I'm going to take our second hour commercial break, and we'll be back to wrap the show up and tell you what's coming up in the next couple of weeks in just a minute.
Santa Cruz County's top-rated IT service and solutions provider since 1993. Here's why. Service and repair, whether it's hardware or software, servers or workstation, we'll fix it or find you a new one. Managed services. Optimize and protect your infrastructure with 24/7, 365 proactive monitoring. Cloud solutions. Cloud IT is the future of small and medium business technology and management. Website design. Engage customers and grow your business with tools to update your own content. Backup and recovery. Ensure business continuity with a comprehensive backup and disaster recovery plan. And finally, security and compliance. Advanced security system to help you protect your data and keep your business up and running. There's only one place to go for all of your computer and IT solutions. User-friendly computing. 505 River Street in Santa Cruz. Give Peter and his friendly staff a call at 831-423-9653. And be sure to tell them you heard about it on KSCO.
Coast Paper and Supply, a local family-owned supply business, has endured recessions, a big earthquake, and now is dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. They are reopened to the public for social distance shopping, specializing in toilet and facial tissue, paper towels, food service to-go options, janitorial and facility supplies, personal care items, retail packaging, and shipping supplies. With their excellent selection of quality products and customer service, discover why many local businesses, schools, and households purchase from Coast Paper and Supply. You can find Coast Paper and Supply at 151 Josephine Street in Santa Cruz. Open weekdays 8 to 4 p.m. Or you can give them a call at 831-423-3350. That's Coast Paper and Supply, keeping local businesses and households supplied since 1948. Call us at 831-423-3350.
Do you think local first? If you don't, you should. Hey folks, it's Cammie Corvin, your executive producer of the Think Local First radio show. Please join our hosts each Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. as we chat with our members and officials on local topics regarding the issues that most affect our community and local businesses. Think Local First Radio is sponsored by Bruno's Bar and Grill, Heavenly Roadside Cafe, North Coast Vision, Back 9 Grill and Bar, and Togo's of Capitola, Scotts Valley, and Watsonville. For more information on joining Think Local First and what you can do to support our local businesses in the community, email me, Cammie@ksco.com. Together, we can get our businesses through these trying times. Think Local First is live on KSCO.com or AM 1080 every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. Think Local First on KSCO.
Just a few minutes left on China Uber Alice for this week. I want to remind folks before we forget that you can go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. That's ChinaUberAlice.com. Alice is A-L-L-E-S, ChinaUberAlice.com. And we have a newsletter. Jonty, our webmaster, has been working very hard on the website and has added a bunch more features this week. And we invite you to go there and check it out. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes, we'll see what's going to. There's a lot of things going on because a bunch of new China policy is being pushed out by the current administration, and also there are a lot of things happening in Taiwan and Japan. It's India, the Indo-Pacific area. So I think that the current administration is really alert about what Chinese government has been doing all around the world. They're really concerning about the safety of United States and the Western world. And so I think they're moving in the right direction, and I'm just hoping, whoever gets into the White House will continue this policy and protect the society here in the United States.
And I'm looking forward to finding out how Amy's story, the second half of her story.
We are always looking for that.
I want to find out about that next week too, so I'm going to tune in for that. But want to thank you both again for another great program, and we'll have the general on, we promise, on a future date. We just couldn't pull it off today for some reason. I don't quite know what happened, but you've been listening to China Uber Alice on AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey. Stick around, Flight 1080 is up next. I understand it's Josh and Cammie hosting tonight. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Nan.
Oh, thank you, Billy, and thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Nan.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.